Oh, hello again, everybody. Week with Will, bright and early on this Sunday. Well, sort of bright and early. It's still the morning. Leave it at that. Cool. So let's go over my lovely week right now. So most of my week's been in the office primarily. The only time I was out on site was on the Monday, going to a water treatment facility whilst it was absolutely heaving it down with rain. Not what you call optimum conditions. You're absolutely soaked through. It smelled really bad, really bad. And a combination of these things, well, one of these things led to the kit having various issues of working. Most surveying equipment doesn't work in the rain. There are big signs on it saying, do not use in this weather. Unfortunately, I did. I had to plod through with with a couple of sort of supervisors because it's a secure and sort of important site. So the main objective of that site was to create a 3D model of some of the equipment / sort of machinery there for them to then work out sort of what's needed, what can we improve on, what's what essentially. So setting up the total stations, setting up stations within sort of the site, GPSing those control points, setting up the stations in order to shoot multiple checkerboards out sort of on various different planes at various different heights, ensuring sort of best fit for the purpose of then using a 3D scanner to then scan the whole way around, sort of making sure I don't miss any aspects of it, including sort of the bits of the pipe work and things like that, as that was sort of something that was of high importance to said client. To which then obviously if I've got the scanned in those checkerboards, I can then tie everything into sort of ordnance survey data, correct eastings, northings and levels, so I can bring the survey down and rotate it right to where it needs to be, which is good, which is fine. It's very long. Well, it felt very long. Admittedly, I was actually done on the site a little bit after lunch, right as the weather suddenly just disappears, because that's just how life works, unfortunately. Some days is working outside sort of the whole day with it raining. The moment you go inside, lovely blue skies. But that's how life goes. To manage to process that job within this sort of... Yes, I did manage to process that job within the same day. So they managed to get that outputted and sent off to sort of the various sort of people who would then handle that data the next day. However, the one last thing I did on Monday itself was giving blood, to which I can't stress enough, it's such a really, really good thing. You're sort of helping people out. There is supposed to be a blood shortage throughout the UK of particular blood groups. Don't quote me on which ones. I don't know. I'm not a medical professional. Some are more useful than others, but I think anything is useful. It's a good deed. It was my main good deed for the week, for the day, as it were. To which obviously I managed to sort of do without any fuss. That was an anniversary one, I guess. That's the 10th time I've managed to do it. So you can do it after every sort of few months, making sure your body's obviously replenished and recovered sort of the blood, sort of making sure you sort of maintain sort of exercise, healthy diet and all of that stuff really. So then I would have had the rest of the week to process this Monday job, the previous Friday job of sort of the building elevations, as well as finishing drawing up a sort of set of flats from a previous one. So I have multiple jobs on the go, so just sort of ticking them off as they go. Flats ticked off, then we got sort of the building elevations processed, we got the model sent off, so then it's just the building elevations left to work on throughout the whole of the rest of the week. So very big factory size, well, factory-ish buildings. So sort of very long, very big. Managed to sort of obviously spend most of the week, not all of it's been entirely done, just due to the sheer size, and then there's sort of a few grey areas and sort of confusion as to sort of certain bits which needs to be picked up, what the client wants, because that's the main sort of purpose of the survey, is giving a client the detailed information that they require, that they need to sort of move forward. So hopefully we'll get that wrapped up. I am on site on Monday though, so it will be at some point later this coming week, I would hope. Yes, so that was very good. And then I had a very busy Saturday. No, yeah, I had a very busy Saturday. So that included sort of my therapy, which obviously I do every couple of weeks, which I can't stress enough to anyone that has issues or worries in their head, that is such an important thing to do, for people to have someone to listen to be able to have sort of that outlet to break things down. Sometimes people sort of feel like everything's sort of stuck all around them and they don't know what to do. There are outlets, there are things there to help people. It can be a bit of a long process. I can happily sort of say that I'm not there yet with the demons that I have in my own headspace. However, I'm further down the road because of it, which, I mean, you can't put a time on things that sort of go on within your own headspace, like mental sort of health illnesses. You can't, it's not sort of like if it's a broken bone, it will take X amount of weeks to get sorted out. In your head, that's you can't put a time frame on that. You can't put a time limit on that. So you got to do is just sort of keep going, keep having sort of people there, regardless of sort of how much sort of some of these things can sort of get to people. On top of that, I also undertook a rather strange thing. I had a letter through the post, which is usually a bit scary because that usually ends up me thinking, it's a mysterious bill to pay, it's a court summons, it's something really, really horrible and mean. Thankfully, it wasn't. So, I believe this was, this is sort of what I had through the post, is looking at the Our Future Health projects undertaken by the NHS, with the idea of sort of people going in to just sort of get sort of checked up and checked on sort of height, weight, sort of running blood tests, sort of checking heart rate, cholesterol, and things like that, with the idea of sort of collecting this data to help preempt diseases, to try and help solve the issue before it becomes a big issue. So I undertook mine yesterday. Didn't manage to sort of take any blood, considering I already had some taken on Monday. I don't think I've got that much left in me at the moment, so I don't think I've got to worry about vampires coming to drain me. There's not much left of me, I think, to be honest. Besides that, I've sort of calculated had my BMI calculated, my cholesterol, which I think is, I believe it's like 5.3, so it's a teeny bit high. So that's like a little thing to work on. It's not a major health risk, but it's just something to maybe just be aware of. Just sort of maybe slight tweaks and adjustments sort of in how I eat and how I sort of go through life. The BMI did sort of put me as slightly overweight, which probably not good for my headspace, but it's probably a sign that maybe just sort of that exercise sort of side of things needs to sort of kick back in, and that's sort of that's a reminder that you need to be sort of eating healthy and exercising. My diet, I don't think is horrendous, but I suppose can always be tweaked, can always be improved. Particularly sort of when I'm out and about, I do have a bit of a sweet tooth, I suppose, so that's potentially something to work on. I've sort of already adjusted my diet to an extent because I've last sort of couple of weeks I've had issues sleeping, and so I've been very strict over my caffeine intake. So I've got sort of, as a suggestion from a colleague at work, is no caffeine after 12. So I've got this coffee, This recording is done a little bit before 12, so once I've had this, that's done. That's over. So it's just sort of these slight tweaks to hopefully sort of improve quality of life, I suppose is the saying. My heart rate, which I was quite surprised that is considerably low heart rate. I think the nurse had to sort of double check that. So a very low resting heart rate. I don't know whether it sort of it varies sort of quite a lot, but yeah. So I think these are things I'm just sort of curious on, because I don't know what's considered healthy in regards to cholesterol, in regards to your heartbeat, whether it's sort of got an arrhythmia or other fancy Latin words for medical illnesses I can't pronounce or remember. But yeah, so it's just sort of a slight insight to me, the potential that this could sort of help people in the future. This also did come with a £10 voucher, which I've used towards a product on Amazon. Hopefully it'll be arriving today. So it's very good. But, it's obviously a Saturday being the busiest day. Now I've got my Sunday to potentially just prepare for some of my work for next week. And possibly Super Sunday. I'm unsure on the games, to be honest. I'm going to watch them, because one of the big purchases I may have done yesterday was getting a PS5 and FIFA, and so my time might be pulled towards that a little bit. But that's for that. Cool. So I'm going to give you Song of the Week. Now, there was an album that came out a couple of weeks ago, which was all over my TikTok, and if you know sort of some of the music I listen to, I love covers. Now this was sort of this was one done by sort of Disney Does Punk. I think they've done this before. So I believe this was from the Goofy movie, I want to say. Not one of the more well-known ones like from Frozen or something like that. Done by Magnolia Park. Is Eye to Eye. It's one of the main songs, that sort of selling points from it. Absolutely lovely, fun, upbeat, bouncy. Enjoy. I'll see you later.